welcome back to the TW Local 591 podcast. My name is Gary Scheibel, your local president. This is our weekly membership video update podcast. Joining me today is your Administrative Executive Board member, Russ Dittmer.
Greetings.
Russ, you want to take benefits?
Sure, Gary. Benefits Coordinator Tony Lepore spoke on the topic of hearing loss and filing a workers' comp claim. The question comes up from time to time, when should a member file for workers' comp for hearing loss issues related to work at an airport? Unfortunately, the answer is it depends on what state you retire from. Tony and his team did a really heavy deep dive, and they have assembled a chart of when, based upon which state you live in, you should plan to file for your workers' comp claim. The chart and all the explanations are in the June 2026 EAP Peer Support newsletter posted on local591.com website. I'm going to walk into ASAP and compliance. Let's see. Our ASAP coordinators wanted to re-emphasize the importance of the spotter policy. This doesn't just mean for moving a stand up or vehicle up to an aircraft. It also includes moving a stand or vehicle away from the aircraft. Spotters also include any time a lift is being used, not just when it's moving up or down, but the entire time the lift is being used. In addition, Harry and Joe wanted to send a reminder to the reps to please get out on the floor. Please speak to the members about working 100% in accordance with the approved manuals. As a reminder, there are no how-to videos that are permitted to be used as reference material for accomplishing aircraft maintenance. That includes the company's own top wrench videos.
Yeah, let me jump in there, Russ, because our mechanics are professionals out there, and they're not going to use YouTube or Google, but I think it's a good reminder, just in case somebody has the urge to do such, that that stuff works great for do-it-yourselfers. I mean, I use YouTube for fixing all kinds of stuff around the house, fixing the car, but that cannot ever happen with airplanes. So
Absolutely.
It's a good reminder from Joe and Harry there.
Yep, just use the approved manuals, and we can't stress that enough. That's absolutely important.
All right, so let me give you Brian Coyne's update. So he's still working with the TW appointee for the GRB, which is Jason Best, to ensure all TW-related grievances are being handled by the association, and also providing the documentation to us to close out any grievances that, were either settled or withdrawn by the association. One update I have that Brian wants me to make sure everybody hears about is we did, as I spoke last week, we did file a presidential 33B grievance. It's titled the Coaching and Counseling, DFW event, but there are a lot of other issues that are built into it from around the country. Just getting right into it with this whole performance culture. 35C of our contract speaks to when there's a change in disciplinary action, or things that you can be disciplined on. To go back to the old days when we used to have, a set of rules, this would be an additional rule called performance culture. That was never brought to the association, to best of my knowledge, nor was the timing of your work, my stats, my task. As we were told all along by the vice president of line maintenance, this would never become a disciplinary tool. It has become a disciplinary tool. Inside of that, they're clearly violating the ASAP MOU, just policy. They've all but abandoned. Most of the new supervisors, you mentioned just policy, they don't know what that is because they're not being trained, or they're just lying about it. Human factors, we are trained on the Dirty Dozen. This really gets away from the Dirty Dozen with the my task, my stats, and even more so with teams. You're up there on a lift, your tablet's in a truck, and this thing's dinging nonstop. So you're getting, a bad stats because, you're actually doing your job, which is one of the things that company has yet to actually prove, that the jobs aren't being done or the planes aren't making it because of somebody's stats. In fact, it's the opposite way. This is all just to make somebody's statistics look good at the top of the company. It's also electronic surveillance. And that's a huge no-no with us. And in the case of DFW, there was a lot of flat out lies of saying that they had face-to-face discussions, and none of that actually took place. So we know if we were dishonest to the company, they'd fire us in a heartbeat. In this case, they should be held to the same standard. So, Russ, you want to handle the election update?
Absolutely. Recording Secretary Johnny Benyard said congratulations to LaGuardia AMT shop steward Qasim Rasul in the recent shop steward election there. He wanted to express his gratitude for all who stepped up and put their name out there to serve the membership. It's really important. Also, he wanted to remind members that the nomination period is currently open for the vacant Austin Station Chairman position, as well as the DFW MLS at CFC shop steward position. If you have any questions on this, just check the official postings page on local591.com for the details and the necessary forms.
All right. And Executive Board member Chris Horvath reported that he tracked for the week of May 29th 14 line field trips and 18 base field trips. Chris said these numbers pretty clearly show that the company is once again ramping up using base AMTs to accomplish line field trips. Also, if and when an MCT comes to your station on a field trip, those MCTs are only to coordinate with AMT tech crew chiefs and not perform any testing, troubleshooting, or actual aircraft maintenance work. If you discover that any work was accomplished by MCT, make sure that you insist that they sign for everything they accomplished and not push you to sign off their work. That's the same with the IFE engineers. They're not to go out there working, as I spoke to a few weeks back. So also, if any of this does happen, get with the local 591 rep and file a grievance for the MCTs or the IFE engineers accomplishing work that is within our AMT scope. Chris did say you received a report that MOC put a field trip requirement for AMTs to speak Spanish due to some supposed issue in that station that they were going to. Chris contacted the station and MOC and resolved that issue. He also had that the station verified no one was bypassed or harmed by this. The only language requirement for working on our aircraft is per CFR 6571, to be specific, is English. Russ?
All right. So we had national membership meetings in the Central Region in St. Louis on Tuesday, June 2nd. And we also had the opportunity to walk the floor on night shift there. They were excellent meetings, a lot of great discussions, and the hangar walk was fantastic. Thanks to St. Louis for hosting and all of the welcome that we got. The next upcoming national membership meetings are in DFW at the Grapevine Local 591 office. That's on Wednesday, June 17th. The times are on the homepage of the Local 591 website. And as a reminder, whenever Wi-Fi makes it possible, those national membership meetings are available via Zoom as well.
Yeah, I would add that in St. Louis, that was one heck of a sunset inside looking out from the hangar. I'll share that picture if I can figure out how on this system.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. It was just one of those perfect timings.
Yeah, so we do have a GSC facilities update from Santos Dota. He reported that he attended the quarterly outsourcing meeting. He also reported that he is working to bring the union back into the WER, that is the Work Experience Review panel on process for GSC and facilities new hires and for transfers. And then also he reported that JFK has apparently brought in a whole lot of new like electric tow tractors because of the new standards that the Port Authority requires. But the company hasn't set up any of the necessary infrastructure, training, or even a charging station. So he is monitoring this new issue.
All right. I'm going to go into the MLS update for MLSC board member John Benke. He reported that an issue arose with what an MLS was given what seemed like a menial task. Simply put, when management gives a crew chief tasks that need to be done within the scope of work for the MLS, when the crew chief assigns you that work, accomplish the work and notify the crew chief when it's done. If you have issues or problems with accomplishing the work, you need to discuss that with your crew chief right away, please.
And finally, we did have one question. Actually, it was from Miami that they brought up that the company has apparently installed some sort of vending machine to issue tools. This is the first that we were hearing of this when a grievance was filed this week, along with the question that came up. So, to make it clear, the job of issuing, returning, and processing all aircraft maintenance tools and parts are the work of our MLS folks, not something that the company unilaterally moved to some vending machine. So the local, we are investigating what happened here and what avenues we need to take to resolve this. Stores, to their credit, our MLS folks has fought for years to protect their work, and their classification language reads as follows. The work of material logistics specialist classification, depending upon assignment, includes any of the following but not limited to: requisitioning, receiving, storing, stock chasing, dispersing, transferring, counts, kitting, checking, inspecting, exchanging, returning to the factory, issuing. That would come into play here. Shipping, delivering, rearranging stock, non-inventory supplies / stock, equipment, supplies, inventory and warehouse supplies, including, this is a big one, tools and materials utilized within the tech ops department. And then they also have a letter in the back of their book, LOM4, which goes into the vendor management inventory. So in order to expand upon the proposed practice, the company intends to implement vendor management inventory at locations across the American Airlines systems for high-moving, low-cost products. The inventory will not contain rotables, high-value parts, that's anything over $400 per piece, or rotable tooling. So unless a drill or a toolbox that are in the pictures are not required to be returned to stock anymore, it's definitely a rotable tool.
Absolutely.
So a clear violation of the MLS agreement. I'll put a picture on the screen as you can see if there's something like this at your station, because if there is, we need you to say something. So that said, finally, just a reminder, we at Local 591 have a Facebook page and a YouTube page. Please subscribe to them and get updates and notifications whenever the information is posted. So that is our podcast. Russ, you got anything else?
No, sir. Just be safe out there.
All right. So as always, any thoughts, issues, suggestions for future podcasts, please send them to info@local591.com. Hope you all have a great week and please be safe.